Hey guys, Gemma from ASD Rocks. Almost 100% back on track. Definitely extremely exhausted from the whole COVID thing. But it's my niece's birthday tonight. And I am making an emergency dash down to Chadstone Shopping Centre, where there is perhaps one skirt that I saw online in the last month that I have been lying bedridden that might be in my size. So I'm going to take on the entire world on a weekend at the busiest and most horrific shopping centre that we have in Melbourne. All right. Talking to you today about what has been going on with Bo. Holy guacamole. We got some really serious stuff going on, guys. Basically, you know, do you remember the vlog I did about him sort of starting to really, you know, those teenage years and him really starting to express, you know, violence, not violence, but this insane anger that he just doesn't seem capable of controlling, and how I was saying, you know, I explained, you know, it was at the gym and it was understandable he was getting frustrated, and you know, I've been talking to Bo about emotions and puberty for a really long time. We've been talking since he was about 10. I've been giving him skills, giving him words and things to say. You know, I'm angry and I don't know why. I'm sad and I don't know why, you know, just to understand that he has these surge of emotions. Well, these emotions have gotten significantly increased, and the triggers have become significantly bizarre. So basically, what happened the other night, it's, you know, progressing slowly more and more, but what happened the other night was Bo lost his shit. Now we're talking about, you know, you guys don't get to see him in person, but he towers over me, and he's, you know, he's got a deep voice now, and when he's like, you know, and he swears, he's like, go in, baby, go in. He's like, oh, fuck, rah, you know, and he just like and he loses it. I mean, complete loss. And Richard then, in turn, started losing his shit at Bo. So I threw them both apart. Richard went out, and you know, Richard was like, I'm done, you know, going through this, you know, all the time with him. We're going over and over with it. So I was like, okay, stop. So I sat down with Bo, and it turns out that the trigger for this was that a pea had rolled off his fork. Now, peas are, you know, corn. The way Bo eats is he refuses to have, you know, a mouthful of something. He always disguises the vegetables. It's been our way to get him to increase his foods. So we've always had him, you know, cut a piece and then put, you know, he would take his fingers, he would put a piece of carrot on that was exactly the same size, and he would put it in. And then we started introducing this thing that, you know, he wasn't allowed to use his fingers anymore, because it was becoming this, you know, he'd put a piece of carrot in the side of his cheek and then put the food in. You know, it really was becoming something that I didn't want to become a set way of eating, especially with our rare nights out where it's inappropriate for him to be eating with his hands. So I sat down with Bo and I said to him, like, whoa, dude, you know. And he said, well, you don't understand how frustrating it is. And I said, I do. I said, but it's just a pea, right? And he's like, you know, I can't control my emotions. Like, he was really yelling back at me or getting angry at me. And he was getting very angry at me, which is so rare, because usually he's just this insanely placid, sort of kid that, you know, is just always desperate to please, and always desperate to, you know, to do anything he can to make, you know, you happy and all that sort of stuff. So it was really odd, really odd that, you know, he was having such an emotional reaction. He said, I cannot, you know, I can't control my emotions. And I said, well, actually, yes, you can. And not that I want to put it really on here for any other reason than it's the, you know, it's the example I use. But I said to him, look, so when you're driving with Dad and when you're driving with me and someone cuts us off, I said, how does Dad react? He goes, oh, you know, he gets pretty angry. And I said, and how do I react? And he said, oh, you know, you're not so bad. And I said, it happens. I can choose to be angry about it or not. That is what becoming an adult is. Now, being a teenager, we expect these outbursts. I said, but this is a P. And I said, you also have to remember that your outburst has affected Dad, and then Dad's angry, and then that affects me because I have to deal with everything, and then Finn is upset. I said, so your behavior has a flow-on effect where you get upset at a P and the whole family becomes destroyed by your, you know, intolerance of the classical shape of a P. This went on, this conversation, he got more and more frustrated and angry and told me, you know, that that I was cutting him off when I was trying to explain things. And so I let him have his say, and then he got really frustrated because he forgot what he wanted to say. And I had to pull a little bit of the parent card. I had to do the, listen, mate, you're a teenager, okay? The rules are just going to have to be the rules. You do not eat with your hands, right? I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to work it out. I understand that you want to have your say and tell me why you're frustrated, which is fine. We're getting off the subject of the problem. Let's work with the problem. Anyway, we ended up working out this sort of mathematical thing, and I was sort of explaining about the physics of a P, and, you know, he's trying to push too many P's onto the fork. Plus, he's not really great still with his fine motor skills of getting that. And then, so he tried to put all these P's and then put a piece of chicken on, and he put it into his mouth, but because he'd loaded the fork up so much, it was literally hitting the back of his throat, causing a gag reflex, and then he was having to use his fingers to push the peas in. And I said, no, you're not getting the concept. You don't have to load the fork up with the peas. You don't even have to do it at the same time. Try putting the chicken in first, then load the fork up. Now, he was furious about this, and normally he takes on direction really well, but he is going to be 17, and this is what I have been waiting for. I think, you know, physiologically he was a very early bloomer, but from that a social aspect and I guess neurological aspect, he has always been very young. And I think, you know, he's really starting to get his back up, get frustrated, get annoyed. And it's something that I wanted to share with you because, you know, it all ended up all nice and well, and that's, you know, ultimately what you want to do. But my point is this. Okay, number one, when you start see it happening, you need to sit down, explain the flow-on effect, find a solution, understand that he's frustrated. But the one thing that I really wanted to show him was that I used to say, my grandmother always used to say, you know what? It's not blood. Teaching kids what is the end of the world and what is not, what these triggers are, and that they are within a bell curve of what is acceptable and what is not. Now, I understand that in the world of autism, trust me, no one understands better than me, that in the world of autism, the triggers are way higher, way more than, you know, I said, you know, there's just no one else in this family would literally have a meltdown over a pea falling off their fork. But you know what? That's Bo. That's fine. What if Finn came in and he'd broken his leg? Oh, that's a really big deal. That's right. That is a really big deal. Is it as important as a pea falling off? What can we do if the pea falls off? Can we get it next time? So really sitting and talking out the gravity of some situations versus the gravity of what is making them go off at that time. Now, it's not going to stop the fact that they had that trigger, but if you can come up with a phrase, and you know what? Hats off to my grandmother. May she rest in peace. She departed when I was only 10 years old, but I will never for the rest of my life forget her saying, and it was always, you know what? It's not blood. And I think if you can come up with a saying that gives them that kind of gravity, they can start to compare these triggers with something that is actually really important and start making them say, you know, Richard has always had the saying, there are no problems, there are only solutions. So my saying is going to be, it's not blood, Bo. And we're going to work with separating things. And I know that he was, and I said to him, I know you're furious with me right now. I can see it, you know. He started, he used sarcasm. He started cutting his meat in a way that was like angry cutting. All of these behaviors that I have just never, ever, sorry, got cut off. Behaviors that I have never seen from him before. So, as I said, the tack that we're going to use, and this is going to take a lot of sitting down, this is going to take a lot of time, because we're talking about emotion and we're talking about asking a teenager to control their emotions. So learning how to, so one of the examples that I like to give Bo was, remember when you were little, you used to fall over and you'd cry. Or remember when you would stub your toe and you would cry. Now you don't do that, right? Now you swear, curse, whatever it happens to be. You're angry. You're like, shit. You know, I'm really annoyed at these sorts of things. However, there are so many things that are so small that are really triggering Bo. If the cup falls down, or the toothbrush in the bathroom, or he puts his toothbrush in and it makes the whole cup fall down. It's, you know, it's the end of the world. The way he is behaving is that it's the end of the world. And I think that I'm really going to have to spend a lot of time reinforcing the same message over and over again. It's not blood, Bo. It's not the end of the world. I think this is the way we're going to deal with it. Means I'm going to have to sit with him every single dinner time, every time he has peas, every time he has corn. I'm going to have to set up the success. Every time I hear him get angry, I was just ignoring it. You know, when you have a kid who was non-verbal, and when they swear, but they swear appropriately, it's hard to explain. I think this is why I love the ASD Rocks community. No one else really understands how proud you can be of a child who uses swear words in the correct manner, you know, or displays in his physical body intentionally, you know, I'm cutting my meat and I'm doing it in a way that I want you to know I'm angry, because it's not just that he's doing it for him. He's angry, I'm angry, therefore I'm doing this. He is acting, and acting is about portraying your emotions to get someone else to empathize with you. And most ASD kids have a huge amount of trouble empathizing with anybody else, but to get to someone else to empathize with them is another level up. So while we are going to have to work on these triggers, because a pea falling off his fork is not, you know, we need to really bring down the reaction level, how much it's affecting him. The cup falling over with the toothbrush, you know, or the toothpaste was too long, too heavy, or, you know, or anything, it doesn't matter what it is, he is over responding. Now, don't get me wrong, he's not overreacting in a way that he's responding. He's feeling that way. I know he's feeling that way. He wouldn't be doing it as, you know, oh, I just want everybody to think this. He's actually genuinely feeling, you know, absolutely triggered, meltdown, frustration, infuriated. And I think that, you know, we really need to, I think it's going to take a few months, and I think it's going to take a huge amount of what I always talk about, which is being present. I'm going to have to be present all the time. I'm going to have to listen out. And I talk about this with the younger kids, discipline, or siblings especially. You have to be present. You have to be onto it. You have to listen to the triggers. You have to drop what you're doing and deal with it before it becomes the meltdown, before it becomes things. So I'm going to have to be really present over the next few months, and I'm going to have to sit with him whether I want to or not, or I'm exhausted or not, or I have other things to do or not. I'm going to have to sit with him every single dinner and make sure that I talk him through how he's going to eat from now on. If I hear him yell out or scream, I'm going to need to find out what it is. I'm going to have to reinforce. Is it blood, Bo? No. Right. Let's take it down a notch. We're going to have to get some grey in between this black and white, because at the moment it's from here to boom here, and it's not necessary. It's about perspective. We need to make sure that he has perspective. So that is what we're going to be doing, and I'll see if I can get Bo to do a bit of an interview about it, because he understands. We had a really good chat about it, and if I can get him to come on and sort of talk about the way he feels, and potentially even hopefully how he feels annoyed by me parenting him, because that's a very typical teenage thing, and I think it's normal. I think kids should be annoyed by the way that you are parenting them. Yes, we are their friends. Yes, I have an amazing relationship with both my boys, but ultimately I am still the parent. I am still the one in control. And it's when the kids start getting, you know, it happens at different ages for different people. I know that in my experience it's happening a lot later. My nephew was displaying these things at the age of, you know, 11, 12, where he was, you know, had this defiance against his parents and sort of thing. It's just not something I've had to deal with yet. So, I mean, Finn's getting there, but he's more sort of sarcastic-y, snarky. He's still a bit too scared to push the boundaries. But Bo's really feeling that testosterone-driven teenage emotion. So, ASD rocks, guys. I will let you know how it goes.